Troy, could it have been anyone else in the end with a bit of a dramatic finish for Norway?
No, he's the main man, isn't he? He's always going to be in those right areas. Very difficult to do what he does. I know for a lot of people, they will go, oh, he's just in the 6-yard box. He's always in the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
Goes through so many games where he has like 8 touches in a game, 12 touches in a game, but he's always ready, always alert. And yeah, it wasn't a great finish, but anyone who plays golf knows it doesn't matter how you got there. It's all about the number on the scorecard, isn't it? It doesn't matter how you got there. And he scored, and they're through. Norway, for me, are an interesting team. I think there's so much more there that they can give, but they just play within themselves, within this structure, because it's working. So when you've got that guy up front, you'll always be in games.
Mm-hmm. Is that how you feel as well, Benny?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like, he'd had, you talked about it, 8, 10 touches. It felt like he didn't touch the ball very often, and you could almost tell on the goal itself.
Yeah.
It wasn't clean. It didn't matter how it went in, but he almost had a hesitation. It's like, man, did I hit it clean enough for it to go in? Because it kind of hit off the backside of his heel. But he's there. It's the movement. It's the willingness to get there every single time that puts himself in a position to get the easy goal. A hell of a pass as well from Berg to set him up. But, yeah, I mean, with Erling Haaland, you're going to get a chance to score. It seems like I think it's, 10, 11 games in a row or something that he's scored in. Yeah. So you start the game 1-0.
Yeah, and it's like a mentality thing as well. The other team know that he's going to score, or they think going into it he's going to score. Your team go, well, he's probably going to score, so we get a little bit of a boost. And then the other part of the conversation is for him as well, like to be mentally engaged without really touching the ball. Most football players, or certainly us, we want to have a touch. If we haven't had a touch in about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, we've got to go looking for the ball. Hey, give me a touch, or do something. In my situation, it was like to find physical contact. So I'll go and have a fight with somebody to feel like I'm engaged within the game. For him, it's like, no problem. It'll come. It'll come.
Just 3 defenders go crash down on one player and leave Haaland by himself. I'm sorry. That's just, again, we talked about these. It was, again, discipline defensively. Yeah. Go do your job. Do your job well. Don't do somebody else's job. 3 guys went over to try to close that ball down, clipped it into the far post. But listen, I think in this world, there's 2 different types of forward. There's an Mbappe who needs the ball, who wants the ball, who'll get it and run at you and to be dangerous. And then there's guys like Haaland. Messi, I'll put Messi in that category. Messi doesn't touch the ball a lot in that area, does he? But he's always finding the right space to get in there. Haaland, I think he's okay at not having the ball. You saw him walking around. You saw him waiting for the space. He gets into a battle every once in a while. But when the ball's in the 18, that's when he lights up. That's when he turns on. That's who he is. And I think Norway knows it. I think Man City knows it. So, again, he did his job today. He put himself in the right spot, hit it off his heel. Almost didn't go in, but the best goal scorers in the world find ways to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what he did.
Is that even more frustrating?
No, you know what probably was more frustrating? Morocco,
listen to her speak.
Morocco, I'm going right there. Morocco, thank you for busting it. Paraguay, thank you for busting it. Now, Ivory Coast, thank you.
I think, though, if you're a defender and you watch Erling Haaland score an absolute screamer or something, you're like, OK, fine, that's just something he can do. When you watch him unmarked, though, kind of get it in somehow, Benny, that's got to be a bit like the most annoying thing, hasn't it, in a moment like that of a World Cup match?
Yes, but Haaland works within that box, right? He doesn't score too many bangers from outside the box. He does score some worldies in terms of athleticism where he gets his foot 10 feet in the air and somehow, but it's usually inside the 6 or inside the 18, and so he works within that realm. And I think that, yes, it's frustrating to see an unmarked Haaland inside the 6 for a tap-in, but it was a good play from Norway. It was one of those plays that they didn't get too many opportunities like that.
It's
where
not
they
like
found
it's a small guy. It's Haaland. You're a defender.
He's a cyborg.
You know where he is. That's like Zlatan. Do you know where Zlatan is? You know where he is. Typical forwards. How do you leave a guy that big, blonde hair, ponytail? Yeah, he doesn't score very much. Just leave him over there. I don't understand. Yeah, defensively.
I think from a defensive point of view, it was that little rush of blood where they all wanted to, like that fear kicks in.
One mistake leads to a second mistake.
Of course, but everyone's like, they're going to score, try and stop it. Where 3 of them are thinking that as opposed to like, okay, you're going to deal with it, I'll mark my man. Also, emotional, 85th minute of the game.
Late at the game, right? Fatigue. But also, I think conversely, though, we talked about at halftime, Norway didn't do much of playing through the lines, making runs in behind. And that play, Berg makes a run through the lines, and there's actually a slip pass through that window, and he receives it, gets a good touch. And again, then we see maybe the mistakes, but every defender, a lot of defenders, will gravitate to the ball in that moment, right? Because Berg could have taken a shot himself. Yeah. And so in that moment, he makes a really fine find with Haaland, the back post. But it was good to see Norway find a little bit more of that, playmaking ability and creativity in the final third in that back half of the first half, back half of the second half.
They're going to take on Brazil, which we'll talk about in just a second. But for those, Marcelo, that have got Norway as a bit of a dark horse, because they are for many, aren't they? I think especially with Erling Haaland, with the fans as well. How do you see them doing overall? Do you think that they've got one more game in them, or could they be a real Cinderella?
I think they have one more game or two. The way they're playing defensively, they're locking it down. When you've got a threat like Haaland, you're a problem for Brazil. So, yeah, I think that right now, when you look at the way they played today, they found a way to get through the goal that Ivory Coast scored. This is a team that moves the ball well. Not great. They don't move it great, but, I mean, you're not going to have a lot of the possession when you play Brazil. You're going to defend a lot, and you're going to look for the counter, kind of like they did today. They found their counter. They found Haaland. So I think it'll be a much tougher game than people think. But, again, do they have a chance? 100% they have a chance.
It's kind of been a theme, hasn't it, with Norwegian football? We saw Bodo Glimt, obviously, in the Champions League. They took everybody by surprise. They were just so impressive. At the beginning, it was like, oh, OK, the Cinderella run, when is it going to run out? And then everybody was made to take note of just how well they were playing, and they were there completely on merit. Is this Norwegian team a little bit similar to that, Troy?
Yeah, I would say so. I think there's another element to this as well in the conversation with Brazil. Brazil haven't been able to really break down low blocks. A lot of the teams haven't, and Norway do that. They sit in a great block. Saw it today. We saw it against Senegal. They sit, they wait, and then they try and pounce. We haven't really seen the Brazilian backline tested yet. And there's another storyline that he's got to develop for the next 10 years. Haaland, the guy you can see there, versus Gabriel. It's the Arsenal-Man City thing. Again, those guys have had a history of being physical with each other. So let's see how it plays out on the international stage. But if you're Norway now, you don't fear anyone. You don't do a Jesse Marsh and say it's a free hit, as you know.
I was waiting to see how long.
I've got to get one in a day. But, they will look at it and go, OK, well, all the pressure's on Brazil. They need to come and beat us.
But is it a free hit in some way, or you just don't
you never
like that?
Listen, for me, it's never a free hit. This is sport. We're competing. Anything can happen. A sending off. They have a player, 4 players who play 8 out of 10. We have 4 players who play 10 out of 10. There's things that can happen. A goalkeeper can make a mistake. I just hate the term, it's a free hit. You're already defeated before you get there. It's like, oh, we're lucky to be here. Like you've won the lottery or you've won a participation award.
What about for those that say, well, it just takes the pressure off us. It makes us play more freer, knowing that the expectation is on them, it's not on us.
I don't think sport's for you.
Yeah, I think pressure's a good thing at times.
Part of it.
Right? Like pressure, the top players, pressure, I think, usually focuses you, makes you more concentrated, makes you more goal-oriented. So I don't know I'm sure coaches have their little methodical ways of getting the players to be ready for the game, and maybe that's what Jesse was trying to do. But with Norway, I think being ready for the game,
show to go
players
are the fans.
Yeah, that's true too.
Troy, if your manager said that to you, it's a free hit today, boys, would you stand up and say, no?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I would have let him even finish. I would have said, well, why are we doing it then? Why are we training? What's the point of training? Might as well just let me go and have a beer. I'll just turn up on the day.
I've never had a coach say that. I've never had a coach in a tournament or anything, in a league game, say tomorrow we're 1 point away from the league. It's a free. I've never had a coach tell me that we're played on borrowed money, so let's go on casino money. So I don't understand one bit.
Especially with Norway. I think, there was a lot of question marks with this World Cup in particular, it being bigger and more matches. But one thing that we have seen is a lot of upsets. And the other thing, Benny, is that we've seen the stars really performing. Obviously, Mbappe, Vinny, Erling Haaland now. Has that made the World Cup more fun, do you think, so far, seeing them on top form?
I think there's no question, right? And like you talked about, we have the Golden Boot race has got to be the best we've ever had in the World Cup. And I know there's more games. And some smaller nations as well that uptick the goals. But, man, all the stars came to play. And then we'll see, an Erling Haaland against a Vinny, who, 5 and 4 goals, I think it is. Vinny almost had 5 with that off the post against Japan. And so, look, I do think that when you get to this part of the tournament, the weight of the jersey matters, right? And there's a saying in Brazil, and I think it's a saying across the world, but I know that the Brazilians will say that the weight of the jersey, the yellow jersey, will matter against Norway, right? And so the ability to be there, having done it before, the experience, I do think that they're slight favorites against Norway, but they're not a better team. That's the thing that's interesting, right? And even if we talk about this game today between the Ivory Coast and Norway, you saw for big moments of the game, Ivory Coast looked like the better team.
Yeah.
But then when they tied the game, it seemed like they kind of shifted how they wanted to play and sat back a little bit more like they did in the first half. Norway grew back into the game, and so that is a little bit of that experience, weight of the jersey. I don't know how that plays into the game against Brazil, but it'll be really interesting to see how they approach it. Is it going to be one of those where they're just like happy to be there, or hey, let's go punch the lion in the mouth?
How close, though, do you think it'll be? Do you think we'll see a close affair between the two?
Yeah, I do, because I don't think Brazil's shown the propensity to beat any team by a lot other than Haiti, right? So I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Norway provides a threat going forward, as we know. They're resilient defensively. I think Brazil has a difficult time breaking teams down that are in a lower block, and so I think we're going to see a competitive match. I would favor Brazil just because of like what we talked about, the experience a little bit. I think they have a couple of game changers in certain positions. Obviously, Haaland is one guy that can, to some degree, be taken care of by two people if the ball doesn't ever get there. Whereas there's other players on Brazil like Vini and some other players that I think can make a little bit more of a difference. So I would slightly edge Brazil, but it would not be surprising at all if Norway takes it.
You giving them the edge too, Troy?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think experience, again, the weight of the jerseys you're talking about does come into it. I do feel at some point now the weight of the jersey and the expectation will start to fall onto these Brazilian players. Not all of them. The likes of Vinicius Junior, he's been a superstar for so long that he's used to having a heavy shirt because that's what happens when he plays for Real Madrid and obviously for the national team. I do also think one key battle is the manager in Carlo Ancelotti. He has done everything right so far. In terms of even the president of the country is coming out talking about Neymar, and he goes, no problem, I'm going to put him in for this game. And that's the only time we've seen him. Put him in for, what, 10, 15 minutes? Now I'm going to drag him back. And again, how easy was it be in the last game where couldn't break down a low block, the fans are calling for Neymar, they want Neymar, but he goes, hey, Hendrik, you go in. You're a young guy, I'm going to give you some airtime that you haven't had. But it was very easy to put Thiago in, who he started. Everything he's done has been calculated. He's got, okay, Thiago, you started. You missed a massive chance against Morocco. Yeah. Come and sit on the bench. We're going to use you further down the line. But you've got to understand that when you're with Brazil, you get one moment, you get to score. Oh. This is not Brentford. Yeah. Every little tweak, if you look at it from a managerial point of view, he's been fantastic. And that's why I give them the edge. Maybe even leaving in Casemiro, because that was a bit worrying, wasn't it? Leaving him in, and then he had the second half. And Martinelli, obviously, putting him slightly out of position, and then he gets the game winner. So, unbelievable.
Listen, let's just be straight up and honest. There's not but maybe two teams that can break a low block right now. Messi, maybe France. Yeah. Olise in there. Besides that, tell me another team right now that can break that low block. So it's in transition where it's going to happen.
Don't say England,
I don't see it. Tell me another team right now. We keep talking about Brazil wanting to break a low block. It's not the Brazil of old. They don't have that. No, I agree. Messi can, because that's the type of player he is. Mbappe can, or Olise can drop into the midfield. Dembele can drop in. They can do things that are different. There's not a lot of teams that can break a low block. So it's going to come down like we've seen in transition. We saw the goal in transition, maybe a set piece. So with Brazil, they're not going to break down a low block. They're going to be okay with it. Yeah. Listen, today we saw Norway's okay not having the ball. When they do get it, they hit you quickly on a counterattack. Yeah. I think the big thing, like, for that, again, so many people talk about wide players or the 10s getting it. Yeah. But if you're midfield too, don't move the ball fast enough. And because when a team backs off, it's very easy for midfielders. And again, you can talk this a lot better than me, but just dropping in, getting it off the centre half is easy. And then you're moving it left to right. You look great. But actually staying on the opposite side of the centre forward, getting it on the half turn and now punching balls through or moving it left and right. That's where the game is won. If you're two holding midfielders or one holding midfielder,
moves it from left to right with pace. That's how you break down a low block. And then I've teed it up myself. Don't worry. You've been flabbergasted today. We've got a low block. Me and Jen have been working on this in the back. But just again, look at the average. This is the average positions that you're starting to see. So of Norway. So look how low they are in terms of the two centre-halves tripping out. But look, all of the midfielders are just kind of running around Haaland. Look, Haaland is obviously the number 9 in there. Odegaard at times is the highest player, but everyone is in the middle of the pitch. And they're saying to you, effectively saying to you, you want to beat us? Go around the sides. Yeah. And again, we spoke about it a lot yesterday. Around, not through is always better. And Norway are one of the best at it. So you want to cross it? No worries. Our two centre-halves are 6'4", 6'5". We can deal with that. If you want to have crosses from corners, no problem. We'll bring 6'6" Erling Haaland back as well. Yeah. And then they get bigger and taller in those moments. So for Brazil, it's about dominating those middle parts of the pitch, and then also not falling into the trap of going and get the ball off the centre-halves and being really sloppy and lazy.
And they haven't shown the ability to do that.
Not yet.
They haven't shown that.
I agree.
And the way they beat Japan was through aerial presence in the box, by flooding the box and getting balls in. I mean, Gabriel was the one that crossed that from almost the top of the D there, right, where Casemiro gets on the end of it. So I don't think they're going to be able to do that against Norway. Like you said, 6'6" center backs. Yeah. It's more the other way around, where maybe if Norway is able to do that against Brazil, could Erling Haaland get on the end of one of those? So transitional moments, set pieces, crosses. But
again, that goes to Ancelotti's greatness, right? Because in the first half, they were trying to go wide and then typically have the underlappers and try and slide it in. And then he must have said at halftime, hey, guys, we're just physically taller than them. Let's just put crosses in the box and see if they can defend. Yeah. And then as soon as they got a corner from it, it was like, oh, this works. And everyone just kept... I think we saw it yesterday. I think in the first half, it was 9, maybe 10 crosses. Second half was 28 crosses. Because they just understood, okay, we're bigger, we're stronger. Let's just keep. Way. Simple. And again, how many teams don't do that? They have one way of playing, and if that doesn't work, they do it again.
I blame one person for that. That's Pep.
No problem.
Pep changed the whole game. Because you saw that with other games too. Yeah. The Germany game against Paraguay in the first half, Germany is just playing in front of Paraguay the whole time, trying to find little passes, but there's 10 guys behind the play, and so it's very difficult. Second half, they go down 1-0, obviously, at the back end of the first half. Now the goal comes from a cross from 45 yards out where, you get a little flick and it goes in. So it's dangerous. Can somebody defend lots and lots of crosses and aerial balls? I don't know.